Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode. Just it's the Basketball Fiends, and we're back yet again. From a 1 week hiatus. It's me, it's Alex, and on the other side, like next to me on the screen, is Jesus Acevedo Jr. Jesus, what up?
What is up, Alex? What is up? Usually I have like some kind of back and forth that I want to go with, and today I didn't have nothing, but everything's good. I'll just say that, so we can start off there.
Okay, you know what? I can't complain aside from the fact that like Elon Musk wants to destroy Twitter.
I don't know if he wants to destroy. I think he's just gaming the market, and his people with that kind of money they can do. Whatever money he put into when he bought his Twitter stock, he got double, tripled it, right? And this is all he's just trying to get more money out of the market. This is what I'm thinking. But I mean, I don't want to say he's gonna destroy it. I think he's gonna change it. I don't want to judge it yet. What it could be if he does make changes. As long as he has to give a edit button to Twitter. That is my one stand that I
You don't want the edit button.
I don't want it. That is a
That's
hill I'm willing to
interesting.
die on. I don't want an edit button.
Why is that? I know. Now I'm curious. I actually didn't know that.
I feel like Twitter is almost like a living journal. When you tweet something out, it's out there and you can never go back and edit it. You can delete it if you want it to never be seen again, but it's in that instant moment. Twitter, I tell people it's unlike any other social media. Twitter is not for everybody. Not everybody can use Twitter. I mean, and I'm on Twitter all the time, but there's sometimes I'm not as active as far as sharing. I'm just so much keeping in touch, replying here and there. Some people that use it as their daily journal, minute by minute, and I'm like, whoa, it's too much for me. But do you? But still, with all that said, that's why I don't think we need an edit button. Plus, it just gives people a chance to go back and fix mistakes that they made, which at that time I'm sure they didn't think it was a mistake, whatever they must have tweeted. So that's why I say no edit button on Twitter.
That's interesting. I see where you're coming from. It's like like having a no edit button. It's like that's what kind of makes Twitter fun or sets it apart from everything else. It's like, look, whatever you throw down, like that's what you threw down, and you kind of gotta eat it if it sucks or.
I mean, look, if you feel really bad about it, you can delete it, right?
Right. True.
That's it. Simple as that. No, but you want it to be perfect now.
Right. Yeah.
Twitter's imperfect.
Yeah, and you know what, and that's where I guess the whole Elon Musk thing, I'm just kind of like, it feels nefarious. It just feels like it doesn't sit right with me. It's a little sketchy. I'm just like, dude, just like leave it be. Like I don't like Twitter is Twitter. Just let it be. I'm like the same way as you. Like I don't tweet a bunch. I mean, I scroll through Twitter a bunch. Like I was one of those guys where I run from just like knowing what Twitter was, and I was kind of like, like I don't know anybody on Twitter. And then I hopped on it for a little bit. I was like, oh, okay, it's kind of cool, but I still didn't know anybody. Then I hopped off, but then I hopped back again once I actually had friends that use Twitter. And then I was like, oh, okay, this is cool now.
Yeah.
Like this, I like. So, yeah, man, Elon Musk, just stay away, bro.
It's interesting, I'll say about 85% of my closest friends are not on Twitter.
Yeah,
like there's some friends that I see like almost every week. There are on Twitter, and then there are some that want to be on Twitter, but they got locked out of their account because they forgot their password.
Oh,
so yeah, but yeah,
I will
Twitter.
say I will say a lot. If not, no, I would pretty much just say like the only friends that I really that have Twitter that I know are like all my journalism friends from school.
Yeah,
those are like the only people that I know that, at least out of my friends, that have Twitter, with the exception of a few. But it's like a bunch of my family like doesn't have Twitter. Like they're all Facebook, and I'm just kind of like, like I don't even check my Facebook really anymore.
Yeah,
I still have it. I'll check it every once in a while, but I'm just like, yo, like my mom knows like Twitter's my thing now. She's like, oh, when something happens, she's like, oh, what did Twitter say? And I'm like, Ma, well, I mean, you're not wrong. So this is where I heard, because this is where I get all my news now. So. And you know what? Speaking of like, just hey, Twitter, like this is where I get my news from. I know you probably seen it like when the Timberwolves won their play-in game.
Oh, yes, I saw
against the Los Angeles Clippers, bro. They had a ball. They And bro, it looked electric in Minnesota. It looked fantastic.
It definitely looked fantastic. And look, I'm happy for them. They're a franchise that they haven't had a lot of playoff success. So I think the last time besides this season, it was a couple of seasons ago when they faced off against the Houston Rockets. But beyond that, it was 2004. That's a long time. you know,
In playoff droughts, yes, that's a long time.
that's a long time. We've had three presidents in that lifetime. Like that's.
Bro, when you put it like that, that's bad.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. So yes, the Timberwolves celebrate like if they were the NBA champions. Pretty much. Patrick Beverly jumped on the scores table and he celebrated with the fans, and he was very emotional as well. And I guess we should also add Patrick Beverly used to play for the Clippers.
Yeah,
So Patrick.
yeah,
He's
right.
I know him very well here with the Houston Rockets. I'm a big fan of everything he does on the court. He's a great guy off the court, just based on interviews and things that I've seen of him. But yeah, he celebrated hard. And look, JJ Redick, here was his message after the T-Wolves win. He said, "Why do we celebrate NCAA tourney teams winning a one and done scenario, but going to mock NBA players and their fans for doing the same? Seems wrong to me."
Yeah, it's a valid point. I mean, look at baseball in the playoffs. Like when a team wins the wild card or wins a divisional series, they move on to the next round. Like they're celebrating, spraying champagne in the locker room. It's like, hey, it's an accomplishment in and of itself. I mean, I would argue baseball is probably like the hardest sport to make the playoffs because there are only so many spots, and moving on is just all the more harder. So it's
Baseball, we need a play-in tournament in baseball.
nah, man, we got the wild card there. Well, baseball's got its own issues. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna get
they
into
got they
that.
got issues.
That's a whole nother story. But I mean, yeah, it's the playing tournament's new, it's fresh. It gives teams that maybe perfect example the Minnesota Timberwolves that maybe wouldn't get an opportunity in the playoffs to give themselves a fighting chance, and they were able to pull it off and beat the Clippers. And hey, that's a team, that's a city that, like you said, hasn't had, excuse me, a lot of playoff success. So it's like, hey, you know what, a playoff win for them, they'll take it, man, because they don't know when they're gonna get another one.
And they asked Patrick Beverly when did he know he was going to jump on top of the scores table, and he said the night before. Manifesting it into the universe. And look, Patrick Beverly, every year that he's been in the league, except for one, he's been in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like once
So,
again, like
excuse me, every year that he's been in the league, he's been in the playoffs.
right, like
Eh,
I don't think people can grasp like how hard it is to make the playoffs
It
in a
is,
professional sport, let
it
alone
is hard.
yeah,
It is just, yeah, it's just, and I think what the playing does is it amplifies just how much teams want to be in the playoffs. you
yeah,
know so it's and for the T-Wolves and their celebration, I'm totally okay with it.
yeah,
Especially how the one their biggest star player had a bad game. Cat
mm-hmm,
Anthony. Cat was MIA.
yeah,
And Anthony Edwards, Russell, they pulled it off. So I
yeah.
think, props to them for doing that. Now how far would they advance? That remains to be seen.
Right, but honestly, I thought the celebration was hilarious, and actually, it wasn't even the first thing I heard about. Like, I fell asleep before the game ended. I was like, all right, I'll find out in the morning. I wake up, I'm not even awake. I'm still half asleep, and the first thing I see is a lady glued her hand to the
Yes.
court, and I was just like, what? And then I see the Timberwolves win, and I see like a photo of like Pat Bev, you know, damn near crying, and like all of this is like within 5 minutes of me waking up. So you can imagine I'm looking at my phone, just like, what happened? Like what is this?
What are we doing? What are we doing?
I was just like, did they? I was like, for a second, I kind of forgot it was a play, and I was just like, bro, like what happened? Like did like were they celebrating the lady getting off the court? Like I could not really comprehend
Yeah,
what was going on at all by any means. But hey, you know what? Good for Minnesota though. They
yeah, yeah,
they 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 deserve it. But
definitely.
with that, we've been talking about the Timberwolves, and they got they're in the play-in tournament. Good for them moving on. There are more play-in tournament games, so you know what? Let's just do a little recap of what happened, because also like Atlanta and Charlotte played, and like Charlotte got stomped, and
Yeah,
a
they
fan got
got
hit. Got hit. What a
Every
mouthpiece, but go ahead.
everything happened to like something every game. Something was going on, whether a fan was gluing themselves or fans getting hit. So but no, it's this playing tournament. I think both of us can agree that we love this playing tournament. This
Yeah.
is the third
Yep.
year in a row. Now, and before we do a quick recap of the other three games, the other games, and look ahead at the ones for today on Friday, which obviously we're recording Thursday night, but you guys are listening Friday. Um, there's no guarantee that it'll come back next year. They're going to reassess it in the offseason. And obviously, NBA will be dumb not to do it. I'm just going to say they'll be dumb not to do it.
Yeah.
It just draws more. These games are very exciting and it kind of uh, uh, makes teams fight harder to the end
Yeah.
and like you said, now for the quick recap in the Eastern Conference, the Nets defeated the Caps to lock down the 7th seed. The Caps now face off against the Hawks, who, as you said, spanked the Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets need some big man. They need a big man who can help them
Yeah.
down low. They definitely need that. And now the winner of the Hawks and Caps will be the 8th seed and take on the Miami Heat, which the Heat should take away whichever one of those teams comes out. I think in the Western Conference, the T Wolves, as we previously mentioned, nabbed the 7th seed with the win over the Clippers. And now the 8th seed will be between the Clippers and the Pelicans, who withstood a giant comeback from the Spurs. The Spurs went on a 16-1 run to win the fourth quarter. Or something like that in the fourth quarter to bring the game a little closer. But yeah, so now it'll be the Clippers and the Pelicans. And I think in that one, the Pelicans are a nice story, but I think the Clippers are going to show their veteranship in these playoff games. So, but that's a quick recap of the games that previously happened. One thing I will say is, we didn't get as many close games this playing tournament as we did last playing tournament.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true. But I mean, here's my, I guess one of my things with the playing tournament is that I think it's fresh. It's exciting. Something, was it? Let's put it this way: San Antonio, their 10 seed a couple years ago, like they're not making the playoffs at 34-48 by any means. But hey, with the playing tournament, they give themselves like one last fighting chance. You look at the East. You got Charlotte, who was a 10 seed, 43-39. I mean, winning record, probably most Eastern Conference years in the past that probably would have gotten them in with the AC at least no problem. But I mean, hey, Charlotte's a team that we're not used to seeing in the playoffs by any means. So for once again, the playing tournament to give them an opportunity to try and make a little playoff push, hey, why not? I look at it as like the kind of like the first four for the
Yeah,
NCAA
yeah,
tournament, just like those last little spots. Like, hey, it's up for grabs. If you qualify, here's your shot. Whoever wants it more gets it. And I think that's what we're starting to see with the playing tournament. And I don't know. I mean, I like it.
definitely. No, I like it too, and I think looking ahead to tonight's games, those are my predictions. What are your predictions for the games? So it'll be Hawks. No, sorry, not the Hawks. It'll be uh Pelicans against the what did I say?
Clippers.
Clippers.
Yep.
Pelicans against the Clippers.
Yeah. So I got Clippers. I mean, I just kind of to your point. There's a lot of guys on that team that have playoff experience. I mean, last year didn't they go to the Western Conference Finals? And I mean, people kind of forgive people kind of forget about that.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, like the Clippers actually made kind of a decent run in the playoffs last year. As much, kind of crap as we given them when Kawhi and PG-13 showed up, and they haven't really lived up to
Yeah.
expectations. But there they go making a little run. So I mean, I could see the Clippers, winning there and securing that 8th spot. In the East, we got Atlanta and Cleveland. Ooh, that one's tough. That one's damn.
I got the Hogs just because I know I feel their experience. Trey Young. I mean, we saw what they did in that third quarter. They caught fire, and
Yeah,
maybe the Hogs are a team that because of that deep run they made last season, they're like now that they're back in it, they're
right.
like, oh, okay, we remember what this is like. Like,
Yeah.
we just had to kind of struggle through the season, but we've been here before. We thrived in this last season. When nobody expected them to do anything. Now this season, nobody expects them to repeat what they did last season. So once again, they have that what do you call it? That us against them mentality.
Okay. That's fair, man. Like, part of me wants to kind of roll Cleveland just because they completely surprised me this year, and I'm sure A lot of other people. I mean, Darius Garland is coming into his own as an all-star. And I mean, hey, he made the all-star team. Jared
Hmm.
Allen, but I know
Hmm.
Jared Allen is pretty banged up. I want to say he's gonna tough it out and play, but knowing that he isn't 100%, I think definitely can be the X factor in that matchup. So you know what, nah, I'll just go Atlanta. All right, I'll agree with you.
There we
It's
go.
not, I kind of talked myself out of it. Oh
Yeah.
my god, whatever. It is what it is. Damn it. Okay, like, see, like, now I'm pissed because I kind of wanted to say Cleveland, but now I'm just like, like, I don't know anymore. But with that, a very bad segue into our next topic, which is the 2010 All Decade Team. Man, you talk about bad segues. That was a pretty bad segue. But you know what? Now that it's out there, actually, I don't think it's that bad of a segue because
that
I'm already kind of
let's
saying
just
it is a bad segue.
let's just say that segue would not make the Associated Press all decade team in any decade. You know,
That's true.
that's how bad that segue was.
That's
But
true.
yes, we're talking about the AP, the Associated Press, their all decade team of the 2010s. And look, it's a first of all, before I say the names, I'll just say I like this list. But this is the names they picked, not names they picked, but the players they picked: Steph Curry, James Harden, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, and Dirk Nowitzki. I'll just say, Alex, I think AP got it right. You know, and this is the Associated Press. They're one of the most respected journalism institutes in this country, in the world, for that matter. Um, and they put this list out every decade. Um, I'm not sure how far back though, but I know that they've done it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So for the most part, I think they got this list right, Alex. What do you say?
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, this is, I know when we see like these all-time lists, like, honestly, not even in any sport, but just in any subject, there's kind of like the I don't know about this person, I don't know about that person. But this is one list that I can say where I'm like, actually, you know what? It's, like, every single person, every single player on this list deserves to be on this list. Obviously, Steph Curry winning unanimous MVP, our unanimous MVP in 2016, back-to-back MVP. Kevin Durant. I mean, it's Kevin Durant, LeBron, James Harden. I do like the inclusion of Dirk Nowitzki as well.
Yes.
I feel like we forget how good of a player he was throughout his whole career. I mean, probably like those last couple years, but hey, just with any athlete towards the end of their career, I mean, it's not realistic for them to be as good as they were in their prime. But in Dirk's case, I mean, he won MVP in, like, what, 2007, if I'm remembering correctly. That year he won MVP.
Yes, and one thing about Dirk I'll say is that his one ring I think weighs so much compared to some other people's multiple rings.
Yeah.
Uh, it's every championship ring is a championship ring no matter what, right? But I think some uh
Like, it stands out.
it stands out. I guess that's a
Hmm.
good way to say, it stands out because of the circumstances, who they were going up against, rematch, older, not past
Right.
his prime, definitely, but still not the young buck he was. So no, yeah, I think that's a good point for you, Dirk Nowitzki. Because look, there's other players that could have made this list in the top five, and I'm sure if they made this is AP's, team of the 2010s. Some of these players would have been in there, but these are just some other players to think about in the 2010s. Kawhi Leonard, Chris Paul, Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, Russell
Mm.
Westbrook. Because I mean, you have to. I know
Yeah.
these past couple seasons have been bad, but Russell Westbrook was there in the 2010s for a lot. You can even throw in Damian Lillard if you wanted to. Dwight Howard. So there's definitely players, but I think these players are it. I think Steph Curry, James Harden, Kevin Durant, LeBron James. Uh, they were sort of the face of the league for a couple of years there. I mean, you could argue they still are. Some of these players, obviously, LeBron James, Steph Curry, still there. Kevin Durant, James Harden has dropped a bit, but still, like for a while, I think between what 2015, 2019, 20, around it was like they were at the top of their game.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's, I don't know. I don't want to call it criteria. Just one thing that stands out about each of these players, a part of this decade team, is that I guess when we look back at their careers, eventually down the road, and we say like, yo, like when were these guys like just in their prime where they were just killing it? It was during this decade. I mean, to start it off, I know like Kevin Durant to start in 2010 as a 21-year-old was became the youngest scoring champion in the NBA with OKC, and those were like pretty bad OKC teams
Yeah.
early on, and for him to do that with a very young franchise at that age, I mean, I think that's sort of like was his arrival. Like, yo, like here I am, like I'm gonna be a stud for
Yeah.
years to come, and he has shown that since then. You look at the ascension of Steph Curry. You look at LeBron really like coming into his own with those years in Miami. As much as people, want to bash it for for whatever reason. I mean, dude, LeBron was just, I would argue, on a whole nother level those years he was in Miami. And then you look at Dirk, maybe not, I mean, still kind of like in his prime, maybe not necessarily at his peak, but he found a way to beat this team in Miami that no one really thought, the Mavs had a chance to, and they pulled it off
Hmm.
for a major upset. So I mean, yeah, each of these guys are very well deserving to be on this list. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And look, they make a hell of a starting five. Those five: Steph Curry at the point guard,
Mm-hmm.
James Harden the shooting guard, Kevin
Yeah.
Durant shooting small forward,
Right.
LeBron James power forward, and Dirk at the five. That's not a bad
That
five to roll out with.
damn, that actually is a decent five, and it helps like LeBron can play the four just because dude's a tank. like he
Yeah. You could even have
he
him
just
play
absorbs it.
center and have Dirk play the power four.
Like honestly, man, that you know what
Oh yeah.
it helps when you're as versatile as LeBron.
And it's like nothing but shooters all around. Seriously, like I mean, like every player could go one on one.
Damn, yeah.
Well, except for
Dude.
Steph Curry. Steph Curry is the only one that needs more help than others. But
Yeah, I mean,
James Harden drives Kevin Durant. Yeah,
yeah, definitely like James Harden, like the freaking purest ISO player.
yeah.
That's definitely dude
Arguably,
that.
you could arguably say he's the greatest one-on-one player.
Yeah, it's just like, bro, like get out of his way. Like
At
he
least
went
make
out
an
there.
argument for it. At least top
Yeah,
five, make an argument. Because
yeah,
there's
you
so
could
like I know Kyrie. People could throw Kyrie. Definitely, he's in that conversation. Just like elite.
yeah, James
Eh,
Harden's definitely in the
Kevin Durant
conversation.
also, and that's what I know. Bringing it back to the Nets. Not that we were ever there this episode, but it's that what if three of the most lethal one-on-one players
Yeah,
in the history of the league, and we
they
never
only
got to
play
see.
like
But
what
yeah,
15, 16 games together on the
60
court.
games. Yeah, and again, two of them were in the 2010 teams. You could have Kyrie Irving to no, maybe not. We need to see more from Kyrie. He didn't win an MVP, and all these players here won MVPs. Um, that's the one thing that I guess we can talk about Kyrie is that he hasn't had a full season where he's been in that MVP conversation for as great as he is, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't think he's. I guess in Boston that may have been his opportunity because once he got there, it was like, all right, like this is the guy, like this is his team,
mhm.
and we all saw that that was very well short lived. And when he went to Brooklyn, it was like, hey, like I'm matching up with KD. That's my boy. I know like he's the man, so I'm gonna do whatever I got to do to help this team win, and that's that. So I don't know why. I don't know how this all of a sudden transitioned to like a little mini
I have
Kyrie.
no idea how he got on Kyrie Irving in Boston, but well, we're in the Boston Celtics region of conversations, Alex. This is where I'm gonna make a transition. We're gonna talk about arguably some people might say the number one Boston Celtics fan, right?
Oh, okay,
Or
yeah.
you see, that's how you do transitions like that.
All right, man. My bad. My bad.
Well, see, but now I just messed it up because I didn't finish the transition. But we're talking about Bill Simmons, people. Bill Simmons of ringer.com or theringer.com. Uh, and the reason why we're talking about Bill Simmons is, he, what? I think it's best if we just let the people listen. Alex,
That's
let's let
fair.
them. That's fair, right? I was about to go into something. I'd rather them listen first. So we're gonna let you listen to this clip from his podcast. I think it was earlier this week. I think Wednesday or Tuesday came out. I don't know. I don't listen to it, but it made the rounds yesterday. So we definitely want to share it with you guys. Here we go.
They put together with CJ McCollum, Larry Nance, Jonas Valanciunas, Herb Jones, Yeah,
they have the
our guy
ability to-
Herb Jones.
I mean, they
Herb
can beat
Jones
you.
is hipster Twitter favorite for sure.
I put him
He
on all
is.
defense.
You have him second team forward, Bill?
I
All
put him first team all rookie.
I had
I
him
put him
first
over
team
Jalen
all-rookie.
Green. Fuck
Dude,
Jalen Green.
hey,
I don't care you're scoring 40 points and your team's
wow.
19 and 60.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Bill,
Herb Jones was like guarding dudes in real games.
Bill, when I look back at my ballot this year, it's
Now
very
the
possible.
Houston people are going to be mad at me. I'm sorry. I like winning. I like winning players. I'm sorry. Jaylen Green will get there. It's just that team was 21 and 61 this year or whatever. Anyway, sorry.
So as you can see, Bill Simmons just kind of let it fly, So I'll start off by saying, kids, earmuffs, but fuck Bill Simmons. I'll just say that because look, here's why, right? He's a voting member of the NBA media. He votes on awards, MVPs, Rookie of the Years, All NBA rookie teams, All NBA for what every single award. He's a voting member, and in my view, he shouldn't be so. I don't know. I don't know what's
the word for it.
Yeah, what's the word for
vulgar?
it? Right?
I don't know.
I know vulgar could be a word to use, and here's what I find funny is that the Houston Chronicle wrote a story about it. Because they're talking about Jalen Green, a Houston Rockets player, one of the future stars of this team, number 2 pick last season, and it's newsworthy. Bill Simmons, he's a media personality. He got upset that the Chronicle wrote a story about him, and he said, "Hey, we were just joking. We said it in joking. He said, I said it in a joking fashion. We were joking, but it still doesn't change the fact that he said it, right?
Yeah.
So, and it just, but even beyond that, it's that aside, right? His take as to why he didn't want to vote in Jalen Green was ridiculous. I mean, he essentially said he dinged Green for playing on a bad team. Like, newsflash, most rookies play on a bad team in the start of their careers, right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I mean, whether or not it was in jest, whatever. It's like, bro, I think Bill Simmons has been in the game long enough that you got to be more professional than that, than just to throw in the F-bomb and say, yo, like, F this dude, whatever. And to your point, to say, like, pretty much essentially what his point was is that, all right, I'm not picking Jalen Green because he was on a bad team. And it's like, I mean, that's the point. Like, rookies aren't typically on great teams, especially if they're like a top pick. That's how the draft works, because it's like, hey, teams that aren't very good, they get the opportunity to get first grabs on the best prospects coming into the draft. That way, hopefully, they can become a better team in the future because these players develop and get better. So it's like, I don't get it. I don't know what Jalen Green did to Bill Simmons, but yeah.
and look, I like Herb Jones, the player that Bill Simmons, said that he put over Jalen Green. I like him. He's a great player. He's a defense guy, and I'm a defense guy, and he has all the tools. And look, he had a good game against the Spurs on both sides of the floor. He has a bright future, but at this point, clearly Green is a better offensive talent, and Herb Jones is a better defensive talent. But I think on top of that, it's just that fact that Simmons, going back to your point, the reason why Jalen Green is with the Rockets was because the Rockets sucked last season, right? And they're going to keep sucking for a couple more seasons. Herb Jones, the Pelicans, they drafted him in the second round. So he's outplayed where he was selected already. Jalen Green, we expected this. It took him to the second half of the NBA season, but that's not unlike Anthony Edwards last season. Anthony Edwards started slow, second half of the NBA season. Whoa, this guy caught fire. And now we saw what he did in the PlayIn Tournament. He had 26, 27 points, big second half to put the T-Wolves over into the 7th seed. So it's just his reasoning for and if he's not thinking about Jalen Green like that, maybe he doesn't say those words about Jalen Green, and it's interesting because this is what I'll say, when Kevin Durant was a rookie, Simmons wrote an article about why Kevin Durant deserved Rookie of the Year. And he makes all these points about how Kevin Durant improved his scoring after the All-Star break. and his run of high scoring games to finish the season. Not unlike Jalen Green season, right? Where he finished the score, I think at one point, 5 games in a row with 30 plus points. So, and then here's the kicker: Kevin Durant's Seattle Supersonic team, because he was still he played one season as a Seattle Supersonic. They went 20-62, the same record as the Rockets this season.
Ooh, pulling out receipts. I see.
So it's just like, so what changed? From when Kevin
Right.
Durant's rookie season to now, Jalen Green's he sucked. He wasn't a winner. We said we heard the other clip. He likes winners, So yeah, so Bill Simmons, and look, Houston Rockets fans were clearly upset, and rightfully so. But then again, Houston sports fans, in general, Houston sports fans, they know that we don't have a good relationship with the national media. Simmons and many other national sports media, for that matter. The Houston Astros World Series and the aftermath of that happened definitely didn't help with that regard. But like they have always hated on Houston sports for some reason. This is just a continuation of that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak on it. So you're the Houston guy. You give your piece on that. I guess all I can say is, I mean, look, Bill Simmons' reasoning, it's kind of like, okay, it doesn't really make sense. I mean, there's a better way of saying it, whether or not you're joking about it or not, but to straight up just say, yo, like, F Jaylen Green, whether or not it was a joke, it's like, I mean, like, there's another way of saying it. Like, even though in your head, it may not be that bad, it's like, you don't know how people are going to react. So might as well just try to keep it clean. And now look at where we're at now. Just us talking about it.
About Bill Simmons.
Yeah. But you know what? With that, because you know what, I'm just, man, Bill Simmons, he's I don't know what he's on. Elon Musk is still, I don't know why he's trying to buy Twitter. I'm still on, like,
bringing it back full circle to talk about Twitter once again.
I mean, honestly, it's just, just like, why? Like, there's
he's bored. He's a guy with a lot of money and he's bored. So anyways, but look, bringing it back to Twitter, like you said, you guys should follow us on Twitter, @bballfiends_pod Twitter. That's our handle. Check us out on Instagram as well. But we'll be honest, we don't tweet as much. We mainly tweet the episode. Maybe we should start tweeting more. We should start tweeting some of our basketball takes from the B-Ball Fiends pod account. So yeah, definitely subscribe to the Twitter account, or follow us, I guess I should say. Oh, so many different apps. And then follow us on Instagram.
I know, right? So you forget, like, should I say to subscribe, follow? Like, I don't know.
But we are on YouTube, so definitely subscribe on YouTube. But
there you go.
In general, thank you so much for listening to the 53rd episode of the Basketball Fiends. Don't forget to subscribe. See ya.
Deuces.